Welcome. We're glad you're here. And we hope you're eavesdropping on this conversation because that's what we want you to do. We are simply two chicks that have incredible dialogue, conversations, debates, wonderments, whatever it is. This is my close friend and colleague, Mary Pat Knight, and I am Cathy Fitz. People call me Fitz in business. You might hear her call me Cathy every now and then, but that's just how it goes.
History.
History, right, a long history. And so tell them a little bit what we're going to, sometimes what we'll talk about. Frame it out.
So what we're talking about in general and in specific is rising with the love vibration. And the love vibration comes from the heart. And then how you navigate the shifts in this very changing world that we live in, and all of the muck that you encounter along the way. Muck is another word for the mud of the ego that we get trapped in.
Egoic.
Yeah, the egoic mud, we call it muck.
It's actually the egoic energy.
It is, that's exactly what it is.
And, those two things that we frame out in our conversations, and you guys will probably learn this as you listen in and eavesdrop, is that we are always aware and have an advanced awareness that there is love energy, and I call it the love wisdom, and there's a whole story behind that on how I got attuned to it. And then there's the fear energy, and that's the egoic fear. It's the one that tells us stories.
Right, and so what Fitz is talking about is that our assurance, we have the strong assurance, and we want to be able to invite you, eavesdropping on our conversation, to share that assurance with us that you're always supported by the love wisdom vibration, and it's always available because where is it?
It resides inside your heart. It's part of your energetic being, and some of us have different words for it. I grew up in both of us actually, in a faith-based grounding of a religion, and some may call it Holy Spirit, some call it Prana, some call it universe, some call it God. I call it love wisdom, and you'll learn about that as you maybe read some of my books in my Heartbeat series.
Yeah.
But that's what we're referring to. It's this vibration of love that just constantly pulls you back into the integrity of your heart.
That's right. And so at the very basis of all of it, this will be very familiar to everyone who's listening, and we talk about it all the time. There are two primary ways of being in the world, two primary states of being, and that is in the state of love or in the state of fear.
Yeah.
And so our human journey is to move from fear, learn what we need to learn, and live in the love wisdom. So that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, and for me, I call it, that egoic fear seems to be just sometimes a little bit too professionally worded. I just call it muck.
Muck. Yeah.
Stuck in the muck. I'm stuck in the muck. I'm having a mucky day. There's muck in my world, muck in my life. And we talk about muck, and we observe it, and we
Live it.
We live it. We kind of interview it. We journal it. We experience it. We hone in on the feelings of it, and that's where our conversations start. In fact, just yesterday, we both had very mucky days.
Yeah, we did. And we both looked at each other and we said, "Oh, we're in muck."
You're stuck in muck. No, I'm stuck in muck.
So muck is very familiar, and as we talk about it and as we explore it more, and hopefully you'll eavesdrop on some more of our conversations, you'll see more and more of what we're talking about with muck, and it's going to feel very familiar to you because it is fear-rooted energy. And if there's anything that we've been talking about lately is this temptation right now with the ever-changing world and a lot of alarms around climate crisis and technology and other things, is that we are experiencing, what is the phrase, clarion cry? We're experiencing a clarion cry back
she throws these new words at me.
Clarion
cry. So what does clarion
I'm
cry
gonna have
mean?
Go
Let me get my
up.
dictionary up.
Go look it up and tell us what it means. Okay, it's like a call from the wild.
Okay.
Into fear. And it's so familiar because fear is comfort zone. I'm in the center of it, and this feels yucky and mucky, but it is familiar. And so we're tempted to stay there. And that's what we experienced yesterday when we got together yesterday prior to having this conversation today. Oh, don't you wish you were eavesdropping last night? What an incredible conversation last night. Anyway.
Yeah, morning to last night was completely different.
Yeah, very, very.
I think what happens though, Mary Pat, is that we are in a time coming post-pandemic, which was a whole lot of change already. We were going up and down both in the business world. Both of us work with CEOs and coaching and mentoring them and leading them. And we just saw this up and down, and then just in our families up and down. And then we see it in the individual employees, we see it in people, our neighbors. All of us seem to be going through, the roller coaster. And when we look at that, there's a framework. We always love frameworks, and I give credit to Bill Ekstrom, I think, on this one, which is the complexity. Oh, we have chaos first, then complexity, and then a new norm.
And then, let's say it again. Chaos,
complexity,
and a new norm.
And he's written about it. It's been around, that theory's been around for a long time. But we are in chaos. And the pandemic was chaos. And it's chaos that we've never had before. So it's not like, what did we do before this happened? Well, what got us here isn't going to get us where we're going because everything's changing.
Everything's changing.
And when we were sitting back, actually, sitting in the seat of our soul, eventually yesterday, calming the muck down, moving the fear muck away, we realized whether it is climate change and things worldwide that are going on, whether it's a change in, you had mentioned change in workforce, right?
Well, think about, if the disruption of, in the time that we're talking right now, the disruption of artificial intelligence. ChatGPT came out not too long ago.
You mean GMT?
Yeah.
I can never say it.
You'll know about Fitz. She's got this beautiful thing, the way her beautiful mind works. Sometimes the words come out and you're like, what?
If I say rack and dack chair, you know what I mean. It's Adirondack. And it's Chat, GMT, GTP, GXYZ, whatever.
Well, back to the topic. So one of the things we were talking about yesterday, and I'm seeing in the work that I'm doing, is that there's a huge upheaval in workforce. New skills are needed, retraining is needed. There's a lot of things that are needed, which is stretching an already freaked out work world.
Yeah.
So, jobs are being lost. There's lots of downsizing and fear that AI is going to replace HI, which is, human intelligence.
Yeah. And, this video might be watched 5-10 years from now, and it'll be like,
next thing.
AI. There's been a lot of disruptions. And in different areas that we've taken on, even 9/11 was a disruption. Except now, if you really kind of listen to some of the people that are studying the trends and doing the, analyzing of some of this, there's disruption in all kinds of society, in business, in the financial industry. But just, there is a lot of disruption, and it's worldwide. It's not just in the U.S.
Right.
So what that has, the effect that has is it gets us stuck in the muck because we don't know how to navigate and rise up out of it.
Yeah, I just thought of an interesting image that I know I saw when I was a child that I'm remembering now as an adult. Maybe y'all have seen this too. And I think about an elephant who gets stuck in mud. So the elephant is trying to claw their way out, and they get deeper and deeper and deeper into the mud, trying to claw their way out, and then they become exhausted. And unless somebody can come along to help support them out of the mud, they die. So the thing that not that we're all going to die.
Well, think about yesterday's mood with both of us in the muck. I think that's probably what the fear is not that we were extremely exhausted, but could we become extremely exhausted? We're both really ambitious people. We love what we do. We like to take on new opportunities. We're constantly connecting. And that egoic fear energy says, you're drowning, you're getting stuck, kind of like that elephant.
Yes.
But is it that the elephant can't get out, or the elephant doesn't believe he can get out? Because that's kind of what we're talking about with the love.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think the analogy that I was looking for is that I'm not that I'm giving anyone a break, especially not for being in the victim place. However, think about this in the time that we are in right now. Okay, think about the preceding 2.5 to 3 years of the pandemic, and y'all remember the pandemic, right?
The post-pandemic time.
So
the pre-pandemic time.
You think about in the pandemic, and so much like nothing we've ever seen before happened, which has created a lot of internal exhaustion. So what do we need to do to re-energize so that we don't get stuck in the mud like the elephant? Because frankly, what I'm seeing is people are really exhausted. And the exhaustion is exacerbated when we live in fear.
Yes.
It just gets worse and worse and worse. So we become the elephant who believes now that they can't, and now that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I can't get out of the mud. So we need helpers, okay, which is why we're doing the work that we do.
In community.
And community, because the community, so back to the fast track of saving the elephant. That's when the community comes together, pulls all the ropes around the elephant, pulls the elephant out of the mud. See, so think about that. Exhaustion in all the constant chronic change, which is made worse because we are afraid, because we don't know what's coming next, and because we're exhausted by all that we've experienced, and we're trying to get out of it by ourselves, and all we're producing is fear and fear and fear. Stop!
Yeah.
Get into the love. Get into the love wisdom and find your helpers, find your community, so we can get out of the muck together.
And it really is, I think, another thing that we're always talking about. We kind of frame this out as there's a lot of shifts taking place in various industries, in the way we behave, in the way we think. Our needs are different than what they were pre-pandemic. And these shifts, we're used to a shift coming and then stopping. We've had shifts before. We've talked about major shifts.
Yeah.
Industrial revolution, the digital revolution was a huge shift. We no longer hang our kids out the window when we're driving. There's all kinds of shifts in consciousness, meaning we are more aware, we have an advanced awareness. However, the shifts now is like we're going up, down, up, down, up, down. And I think they're going to continue for a while. And I'm seeing it even with the business leaders that I am coaching and mentoring. They're saying, wow, there's a lot of disruption emotional in the heart. There's disruption in our thinking. Isn't the same because it has to think differently today. And we carry that home, we carry it to work, and we're trying to figure out, what do we do? What's the next tool to help it? And there's good stress and there's oostress. Oostress is, the stress that a marathon person has, or an Ironman person when they're coming into the finish line. They're highly stressed, but they're really challenged. They're in creative mode. Poor stress is always equal to, hooked to the fear and egoic energy and all those stories. And it's interesting, one of the conversations that we had, and we could probably even explore it a little bit more, is this chat, GTP, whatever, and this AI, which is new now, and it'll probably be nothing in, 2 years, 3 years, or change
or 2 months.
Or 2 months, morph into something else. However, I feel sometimes that means we're all going to be like robotic. I hooked onto it really easy and quick, and I've always had Google in my back pocket, and I called it Mr. Google. So now I got Mr. Google times 100 with chat. And the talk is, can we find the answers through a tool? And I really believe that what we understand in our advanced awareness, and the awareness is increasing our consciousness, is that we don't need a tool. If we can align to that vibration of love, however you frame it out,
Right.
Even you sometimes frame it out a little bit different than I, but I call mine the love wisdom vibration. That's where my answers are, because when I'm there, I can settle the soul, settle the mind, and hear the intuitiveness. And I think everybody has heard intuitive. They've had that gut sensing. They've had that, idea. We call it the spark. You can't hear that when you're in so much chaos.
We're going to have to do an entire eavesdropped conversation about this. We were talking about this last night too. Not the difference, but the blending of the three brains.
Ooh, I don't remember that.
Oh, let me remind you. The head, the heart, and the gut.
Yes.
The head, the heart, and the gut.
Yeah.
So I talk a lot about aligning head and heart, and you bring in heart and gut. And so now we have all three, head, heart, and gut. We'll talk about this later. Okay, come on back and visit us later. Head, heart, and gut. So anyway, going back to this whole AI as a tool, we also, was really, really cool. We kind of had our own little epiphany around this, is we do have a tool. We have a tool.
Yeah, it's called I call it settling into the seat of the soul, the seat of the heart, the seat of your intuitiveness, and being still so that you can hear. This isn't new. It's not something that has been invented. When you look at Olympian athletes, not that I've been one, but they rehearse their skill, their practice, their sport over and over and over again. And then they get to a point where they're masters of it. Or we'll hear back, pre-pandemic, you master something for 10,000 hours. When they get to that level, then they have to go within. They got to go in on the belief system.
That's right.
That's what can trip them up. The fear, the egoic story, will I fail? That will trip them up. And so what we're talking about is the real tool is here. And you're right, you are right. Mine is here in the gut, and then I attach the head to it. Yours is the head and the heart.
And you bring the gut up.
She talks about it being a humanized individual. I talk about being a heart-based individual, and together it works.
Heart-based humanized.
Yeah, heart-based humanized.
Yeah.
And rather than going out and seeking something externally, I do believe that we're in a a time that is going to continue and advance more awareness and awakening to this type of energy that says, go inside. And it's not going to be just go to this religious institution or whatever. We're all going to have our different ways of going inside, but we do have a very intelligent heart and a very intelligent cellular structure. And when I really think about the love, wisdom, and the vibration, it kind of takes me back. I have to think things through with science. And I go, well, wait, if I cut my hand, what healed it? There's some innate intuitive intelligence, love, wisdom, something. Again, some will call it God, some will call it whatever. But that's what we're talking about. This thing this energy that's in a quantum field outside of the earth, love energy, and fear energy.
Yeah.
And we can really do our own chat with our heart.
Yeah. We can do our chat with our heart. We have our own intelligence. We have the love, wisdom, intelligence.
Yeah,
right?
and be able to, eventually there will be probably conversations that we have that maybe we'll introduce you to the concept of being able to download. And download is just being able to get that wisdom moment, that insight, that perspective, that clarity, that we go aha moment at the end of some meetings that we will have with the business people that we lead. What was the aha moment that we had? That always isn't just intellect and you using your education or your constructs or your frameworks from all of these skills that you have. It's gut.
Yeah.
It's intuitive intelligence.
I always like to get really practical. So that's
She
me.
does.
I like to get practical.
That's what the P stands for. MP. Very practical. No, it's very pat.
So I like to be practical. So I want to just offer, we talked about this yesterday too. So I want to offer a fear tool.
A fear tool?
A fear tool. So a lot of times when we fear, we end up perceiving the world from a victim place. Like things are happening to me. And so
I call that my itty bitty shitty committee. That's what you're talking about?
The itty bitty shitty committee.
Itty bitty shitty committee, the egoic mucky.
Yeah, all of that place, which translated when I'm working with my teams, it's translated to victim mentality. I see the world is out to get me. I'm not safe. I'm going to hide. So don't ask me to be accountable for changing this because I can't, because the fear has me stuck in the muck. And so a tool, I'm going to offer a tool. A simple question. This is a transformation question.
Uh-oh.
It's a transformation question. Instead of why is this happening to me, stop for a moment and ask, why is this happening for me? And then pull out your journal and write until your hand won't stop. Why is this happening for me? What are the lessons? What do I need to know? How do I find my way back into trust? How do I find my way back into my heart wisdom? How does that all happen? Because this, whatever is around, whatever it is, whatever I'm in fear around, is happening for me. Because the world, as hostile as we think it is filled with love, wisdom, which means it's a beneficial place.
And sometimes, and I've been there because you've known my journey. I've been in and out of muck and have had my hero's journey many times. I don't like to hear everything works out for a reason, or there's always a blessing, everything's got the golden lining. Sometimes that ticks me off.
Good.
It does. It ticks me off when I have muck up to my eyes, and you have seen me when I've had muck up to my eyes. It's like there's no way. However, sometimes that does bring us to the seat of the soul and the seat of the heart, to our knees. Some would say it brings us to the, the prayerful moment, the I surrender, I think also is a pathway out of that, of being able to, for me, accept, release it and surrender. I'm in muck. And I did finally, through my third book of the trilogy series in Heartbeat, it really does talk about that the muck, bless the muck.
Bless the muck.
Bless the muck. Because the blucking muck, bless the muck.
New book, Bless the
because,
Muck.
because it tells me what I don't want.
That's right.
And so I did learn through my own intuitive downloads and the wisdom from the love vibration that I needed to be like that reporter and observe it and experience it, smell it, taste it. It's okay to get frustrated from it. There's, tools in business that we use sometimes to see somebody, in a positive way than in a negative way, because you bring less energy into the conversation. Yeah, the key though is we are always going to have muck.
Always.
And we don't want to get stuck in it. We've got to figure out how do we get out of it. And you would call it transformation, transcending, rising above it, navigating through it.
Or leaning into it, not like the elephant who gets stuck, but leaning into it to find a way to get a foothold out. I mean, because muck is going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, we're human.
And it's the confidence level. Once you do that enough times, then, which is now, I'm not ever one that would say the muck is never going to give me a silver lining. I now know. I've been through enough in my journeys. And looking in the rearview mirror, I can see, wow, I did have muck. I couldn't even see, which is why I couldn't see a silver lining. However, as life played out and as experiences played out and my personal growth and my heart has played out, I look at it and I go, wow, there really was new clarity that was brought through that muck journey, new wisdom, new understanding. And I think the most important thing is a peace.
Peace, yeah.
Growth and peace. And so probably, to really kind of wrap up this conversation, especially while we're all buzzing with, AI and artificial intelligence and being able to, what that really is, it's just creating and experiencing new things that we've never experienced before. And it seems to be a positive and it seems to be a negative. That's a very good tool that has both love and fear.
I say, are you in love or fear?
Yeah, love or fear. And it's neither or. And energy, by the way, can't be created or destroyed. It just gets transformed.
It gets transformed. But let me just tell you, Fitz is in love with ChatGPT.
She's squealing on me.
Anyway, I
Yes.
interrupted you.
However, I know very quickly how to get tuned in to my love wisdom
That you do.
vibration,
That
which
you do.
always vibrates, even though I'm in muck, and sometimes I have a party in muck.
So anyway, thanks for eavesdropping on our conversation. Always remember that you can rise above anything with the love vibration and the wisdom that it provides. Anything.
Yeah. And join us on our YouTube channel called Two Chicks That Spark the Heart.
Two chicks that spark the heart.
That title comes from because we are always sparking each other's heart. And also you can go to theleadingheart.com, which is a community that is being co-created so that more individuals who are trying to understand what's a new pathway through life's mucky situations, they want to advance their awareness of things, whether they're individuals or even leaders of organizations, come together so that we have community. Because these conversations are powerful that this chick has with me.
With that
So,
chick. Yeah.
Until then, we'll see you next time. Thanks for eavesdropping.